welcome everyone once again to our Maximizing Your Submissions with Leo Chan's Ideation Techniques. I'm just going to do a brief introduction for Leo. He is the Chief Innovation and Creativity Officer at Abound Innovation. He's done innovation training and workshops with big name brands such as Chick-fil-A, General Mills, and Tom's of Maine. And he's here today, just as a refresher for you all, to teach you one of his proven ideation techniques so you can apply it to one of the next challenges that you participate in to generate good submissions that can hopefully earn you a prize. So without further ado, Leo, I'll let you take it away.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Liz. Hey, everybody. My name is Leo Chan. Good to meet all of you. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and then we are going to get into it. So learn, ideate, and win. That's exciting, right? So what I'm hoping to do for you today is to equip you with an ideation technique that I made up that you can start being able to truly think outside the box. And so often we are told we should think outside the box, but we really don't know how. And so this tool is meant to help you do that. So I'm going to quickly advance through my screen. So there's a little bit about me. So I also just want you to know I'm from Toronto, Canada. So hi from Toronto. And I'm a Lego Serious Play trainer and facilitator. If you've never heard about it, it's one of the best business tools you've never heard of. So Google it or ask me after the fact because it's really cool. Okay, so some expectations today is actually I want you to engage. So I know this is a webinar, but let's think of it more like a workshop. So I'm going to actually propose a challenge that I want you to work on with me, and you'll actually get to see this happen in real time. So engage and please enjoy the process. I think this is a lot of fun. So without further ado, this is a tool that I'm introducing to you. It's called Worst Idea Ever. And we are going to use this tool today against a challenge. And this technique is actually very powerful because we actually start thinking about the challenge from thinking about the worst ideas we could come up with to solve the challenge. And it sounds very counterintuitive, but it actually will help us generate new thinking and new thoughts that we probably would not have considered, because I'm going to give you some prompts that'll sound weird, and that's actually intended to help you start to think differently. So we're actually going to come up with our worst ideas to solve the challenge that I'm going to propose to you in a second. So we'll come up with our worst ideas and then we'll get started, and it's simple. And I really like this technique because often nobody wants to come to a meeting or start coming up with ideas that are terrible, right? That's not the intention. Like, I'm not coming to a session and be like, I want to throw all the worst ideas I have on the board. But when we fear this, and so it's actually a really nice thing to do to get it out of the way, because all the bad ideas actually come into our head anyway. So why not get it over with and see what we can come up with? So I hope you enjoy this process. You should find it fun, and I want you to engage with it. So here's the challenge that we're going to work on together. This is a HeroX challenge. So how might we sustain human presence to, from, and around the moon? Okay, I'll say it one more time. How might we sustain presence to, from, and around the moon? And so I'm going to now share my screen. I'm going to go to Mural, and I want your ideas on this when I get over there. Okay, so how might we sustain human presence to, from, and around the moon? That's the challenge. I'm going to share my other screen. Let's give me a second here. Okay, so Liz, you're the only one I can see. I'm assuming you can see this.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so in the chat, I want you to tell me what your worst ideas are to solve this problem, and I'm going to scribe it on the stickies down here. So put it in the chat. What are your worst ideas to sustain human presence to, from, and around the moon? So when I'm saying worst ideas, I'm thinking like things that are illegal, things that would put you in jail, things that you would never want your mom to see you doing, that kind of stuff. Like, tell me what your worst ideas are. So put it in the chat. I'm going to scribe it, and we're going to see what we come up with after this. Okay. So what's the worst things that you can come up? You should laugh. It should be fun. So place that in the chat. I'm going to see what comes through, and then I'm going to put it on the board, and we're just going to have a little round with this. So what are your worst ideas to come up with this? Liz, feel free to participate too.
Yeah, no judgment, everyone. So
no judgment.
Don't hesitate to throw anything in there.
Okay, since we don't have anything, I'm going to start. How about we should starve all the humans?
There you go.
and not feed anybody.
Okay, so don't put your, sorry, thanks everyone for letting us know. Don't put it in the chat because apparently that's not working. Go ahead and put it in the Q&A text box instead. Thanks everyone for pointing that out. Someone said make a bridge to the moon.
Make a bridge. Okay, what else do we got? Space elevator, nice. These are actually kind of good ideas.
Yeah.
What else do we got? What are things that you might get fired for or get sent to HR? Let's see, pump air from the earth. Okay.
Limit the number of people who go to the moon.
Okay. Focus on Mars. Portal. Gambling. Ride on a rainbow. With Rainbow Bright. I don't know what Rainbow Bright is. I'll have to Google that after. What else we got here? Portal from the Earth. All right, what else we got? So think crazy, wild, silly things that you might get arrested for as well. Let's get really bad ideas out on this thing. Okay, let's see. Everyone bring their own food and plants to grow food. The best thing is teleportation, but spacecraft, which we can land the moon on Earth. Okay. And moon on Earth. So someone said beam me up, Scotty. I guess that's like a teleportation device.
Yeah.
Create an ocean on the moon to grow. Send a submarine to the moon. Move the moon closer to the Earth. Send a submarine. Create an ocean on the moon to grow food. These are great. What else do we got? Open a Costco. That would be a great idea, actually. That would definitely have sustain human presence. Everybody needs a Costco.
Yeah.
Personal biodomes for vacation and escape. Just do anything. That's a great idea. I don't know if that's a worse idea there, Ned. That's a great idea. How about complete isolation from all your loved ones? What else? I'm gonna come up with some as y'all are coming in. Open a jail there. Open the jail. Blow up the moon. The chunks land on Earth. Okay. Put everyone in their own bubble and then send up the bubble. Put everyone. And send their own bubbles. What else do we have? I can create the best spacecraft, which doesn't need fuel. Okay, spacecrafts without fuel. Without fuel. Right, think other things about how to make this worse. Like so our goal is to sustain human presence. What are really bad ideas? What do humans need? Right, so think about so we have a desire to be connected. We need things like food. So what are terrible ideas? What are reasons why you wouldn't want to go to the moon? That's what we're trying to get to, some of the more terrible stuff. So for example, maybe the only thing you can eat is what's really bland? Salt. What's terrible? What about you have to drink oil as your new beverage? Okay, what else do we got? Train people to eat rocks. People to eat. Use human waste to craft regenerative farming on the surface of. Ned's got good ideas.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad one.
Ned, I'm not going to put it in because that's kind of cool. Only grow potatoes. Add Wi-Fi. Okay, so this is a decent list of things. Let's see what we can come up with. Okay, add Wi-Fi to the moon. So some of you are actually answering the question with good ideas, and the goal is to come up with bad ideas. Okay, so just as a tip on how to use this. So now that we have a list of some bad ideas, the way this tool works is now you think about the opposite or the flips of what this is. So instead of coming up with all these bad ideas, what might be the opposites? And we're not thinking about like literal opposites. So it may or may not be literal opposites. Let's see if I can show this. Well, anyway, I'll just say the opposite. So we're just going to think of the opposites. So it doesn't have to be a literal opposite, but what might be the opposite of the principle? So for example, I wrote the first one was to starve all the humans and not feed anyone. What if the moon was a eco-friendly resource? It's plethora of food, like anything that you want, you can get on the moon. Something like that, right? So instead of starving, we are giving an abundance, right? So anything, I think someone wrote this, anything that you want, you get it on the moon, right? That might be like, hey, I want to go there, if that's something that we could do. So let me start that out there. So you can eat whatever you want, whenever you want. Think about like a 24/7 buffet, any food, anytime. Okay. So something like that. And so we're going to look at all of these and think about what some of the opposites might be. Okay, just looking at what Ned said, do you want to go to extreme? How about nuclear radiation waste to make moon the energies? Yeah, stuff like that. You're trying to go your worst ideas, right? That's how this tool works. So, okay, let's look at making a bridge to the moon. If that's a bad idea, what might the opposite be, or what can we be inspired from Make a Bridge to actually now solve this problem or challenge? So how might we sustain human presence to, from, and around the moon? Make a bridge. What ideas might that generate to actually solve this question? What would you come up with? So we're focused one by one. So making a bridge, does that inspire anything for somebody? If you do, throw that in the Q&A and we'll see what you come up with. Have routine spacecrafts. So something like almost like coming back and forth, almost like public transit. Maybe that's what you're saying, Chris. It's almost like I live in Toronto, so TTC. So subways go back and forth to the city all the time. Maybe there's a common pathway that people can use. Have a frequent trip spacecraft type that sends people back and forth. Something like that. Like a Uber for the moon. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? I think we'll get there eventually. Okay. How about, let's look at, I'm going to look at another one. Somebody said limit the number of people who go. So it's like, instead of making it open to all, it's like a few people. So what might be opposite of limiting the number of people who go? Maybe it is, one of them is make it accessible for everyone. Make going to the moon accessible for everyone. Any other thoughts on what this could be? Like, it doesn't have to necessarily need to be the opposite, but what does that inspire you to think of?
Well, you mentioned complete isolation before, maybe unlimited time with friends and family or people you care about.
Yeah, that's good. With friends and family. What if I'm gonna jump on that, Liz? Instead of working on the moon, like we have jobs, that's your job, is to hang out with friends and family. So it's like, you don't need to work on the moon. Everything's paid for you, and everything's good. You're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Spend time with friends, family. Okay, let's see what else people have here. A moon ticket lottery. Cost wouldn't limit who could get. Okay, so no cost go to the moon to go to the moon. Create a moon ticket lottery. That's exciting. So you could submit your name and see if you get drawn, and then you get to go to the moon. I would totally sign up for that personally. That's cool. All right. How about, let's see, I'm trying to look for some more. Okay. This is a good idea. Open a Costco on the moon.
Yeah, we might want to move that one over.
I'm just going to move that over. How about the only thing you can eat is salt? So basically, you can only eat one thing. What might the opposite of that be? Eat anything you want. Okay. A moon, unlimited buffet on the moon. Unlimited, a moon internship. That's cool. Turn everything into salt. Create a way to grow all kinds of food. Okay, so all kinds of food available. Or what if it's instead of salt, there's like these new minerals, there's new kinds of foods on the planet that we've never had before on Earth. So there's new variety of foods, food sources on the moon only. So it's like exclusive to the moon. Exclusive to the moon. Moon pie. That does exist already.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, let's look at train people to eat rocks. I'd love to know what might the opposite of train people to eat rocks be. What do you got? Train people to eat rocks. How might that inspire you to create sustainable life on the moon? Make moonshine on the moon. Okay. What else do we got? Instead of training people to eat rocks, what could they do? Train people to use water that's found in rocks. Okay. So remember, the goal is to focus on the how might we, right? So how might you use this as an opposite? Train people to survive without food at all. That's interesting. Or perhaps it's to eat different, or train the body to materialize or utilize different resources instead of what we're currently used to. Okay, what else? My chat box. Narav, you're doing it right. We're doing the Q&A, so no worries. How about you have to drink oil as your new beverage? What might the opposite principle of that be? Again, we're trying to create a sustainable life on the planet. Dune create spacesuits that utilize human waste as fresh water. I guess Dune's a movie or a game. I'm not familiar with that one, but utilize human waste as a resource for water, things humans need. Oh, it's a book. Okay. And it looks like we got one more coming in. Make air, food, water on the moon. All right. So we've gone, hopefully you can kind of see, I mean, I know the moon is like a kind of a big question to solve, but let's see what we came up with here. So again, the how might we was how might we sustain human presence to, from, and around the moon. And so we started thinking of like starving humans, which means like, what if you could create a 24/7 buffet, any food, anytime? What if there's a frequent trip solution that's like almost like public transit where you're going to the moon and back? We said make going to the moon accessible for everyone, a limited number of times. You don't got to work there, no cost to go to the moon. What about if there was a moon lottery so anybody could go? We like the Costco idea on the moon. That's always good. So I hope that you can see that this starts to open up different ideas, thoughts, possibilities. And I'd love to know, if you want to throw it in the Q&A, what are you taking away from this tool? Because this is how it works. You come up with the worst ideas that you can possibly come up with the challenge. And then you think about the opposite of that idea that you came up to see how it might solve your challenge, because you actually will get new stimulus or new thinking or new idea. And I'll tell you, I would not have thought about opening Costco's on the moon or having a frequent trip or moon lotteries, things like that too. So it's going into like sort of a place we don't think about into a different space and then coming up with ideas and generating from there. So what's your feed? Any questions on how this tool works?
I think just as humans, when you're trying to solve a problem, to train your brain to go in that direction, it does take a few times, some practice.
Yeah, so the prompts are important. So if you heard me, I'd say something like, what would get you fired from your job or send you to human resources, or what would get you arrested? What is something you wouldn't want your mom to see? So it's trying to get prompts to answer that question. Another good prompt actually is to think illegal. So like I was trying to touch on that a little bit. So sometimes it takes some prompts to get us to start thinking that way. And so, you might say, and as you're listening to people given their ideas, as someone that's facilitating it, it's like push yourself to get worse, because some of you are giving great ideas and that's not what we want. The great ideas will come later. So it's really to push yourself to think differently about the situation. So any other thoughts? And I've created a worst idea website. So it's a generator of prompts. So just like the ones I was giving you, I like to kind of give it in real time to people as you're going through it. So that way it stimulates new thinking. But if you like to see some prompts that you can use, you can go to that page and you can click the button and it will generate new prompts every single time you go. And it'll say something just like what I said, and come up with some new stimulus and things like that. So someone says new way of brainstorming. I like that this frees you to come up with anything you want at first. Yeah. Thank you. Great tool. We always avoid the worst ones, but could come to good ones eventually. Yeah. So the thing is that thinking oppositely will generate new thinking for you. And the more you practice this, and it's actually really fun. I know we're kind of doing it through Q&A on the chat, but if you're live with the team, or even if you're doing this for yourself, it should seem humorous. Every time I lead this technique with people start to laugh. It actually disarms them. You kind of get more comfortable. You lean into it. It removes all the fear and pressure of getting it right the first time, because we actually put a lot of, if you want to win a HeroX challenge, you might put a lot of pressure on yourself. Like, oh, what's that idea? Like, oh, I don't know. And you might be like really racking your brain in it. It could feel uncomfortable or overwhelming. And so this is a really easy way to dive into it, right? Because the goal is still to solve the challenge. We're not trying to just do this for fun. We're trying to solve the challenge, and looking on that negative side really kind of gets over that angst, helps us to kind of settle in, and it helps us to start coming up with new ideas. And so when you start to do this, you'll start feeling like, oh, I can do this. And anybody can do this. All you need is a sheet of paper. You draw on a T like what I had here on the screen, and write down all the worst ideas you have, come up with a healthy list, and then start seeing what the opposite or the flips might be and what you can come up with there, and see if that inspires you to think differently about this challenge or solution at hand. Tell my questions again. So are you asking for the prompts that I was using?
Yes, that's what they were looking for.
Yeah, so if you just go to the website, it'll actually generate some, but some that I use are like, think illegal. So what's something illegal that you could do to solve this problem? Or what's something that you would get fired for? Or something that would send you to the HR office and somebody's going to talk to you and your career's on the line. So that's actually how to start thinking like worst. And literally it would be like, what would you literally never do or want to do or have someone do for you? Right. Those are types of prompts, but go to the website. You'll see some of the prompts there that you can start utilizing as well. But hopefully that helps. Any other questions?
That was great. And we were even talking just beforehand that, a lot of these crowdsourcing challenges, you don't have to be an expert in the field to be able to come up with an answer. Just have a kind of a cool brainstorming technique to get you to the right solution. So I think this is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I call it worst idea ever. I think I was inspired a couple years ago from someone else, and then I just sort of modified it, made my own. Again, it's ideation for challenges can be very scary for some people or overwhelming, and so this is a nice way to lean into it, have fun doing it, and get really good output from it as well.
That's wonderful. And so we have a couple minutes left. Leo, is there anything else, or should we allow people, if they have any final questions, to post them?
Yep, that's all I had. I wanted to give you the tool, demo it, let you get some practice on it, and then some Q&A. So, if you have any questions about how it works or ideation, let me know. Happy to answer them while I have a few minutes here.
And thanks to everyone who participated. I know it was kind of intimidating at first, but everyone's inputs were great.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is a group effort. One of the best ways you can improve your ideation technique is to collaborate with others. So, if you're doing it on your own, you'll actually get better ideas working with somebody else if you can. So grab a spouse, a kid, a neighbor, friend, colleague, whatever, and have them kind of go round robin with you. With this tool, you might find, even if they just generate the opposites or the worst prompts, you might kind of get some really cool ideas coming from that too. And you can use AI too. If you want to give that a shot, you can use AI and come up with the worst ideas for this challenge and see what it comes up with. So you can use ChatGPT or Bard AI or whatever you want to use and see how it plays for you.
Great suggestion. And of course, if everyone enjoyed today's session, Leo has a whole bunch of other techniques that we haven't even dived into yet. So, we might have a future webinar that goes into other refining your ideas and things like that.
Yeah, it looks like, so Christy asked, does it work better as a team or individual? I like to do this in a team setting. I've used this myself. I think it's still a good prompt, but I think again, with the collaboration, if you're getting stuck for whatever reason, coming up with bad ideas, there's other people who can be able to come up with really bad ideas. I've heard things that are really out there before, and it's fine. And I remember one of the first times I ran this tool with a group of people, someone was like, let's do drugs. And I'm like, great, that's great. And I'm like, I'm glad you came up with it. Thank you for throwing that out there. And that was, I don't remember what the opposite was, but that idea actually became the idea that the team went with. So the opposite of like, let's do drugs actually became the inspiration for the team to move forward with. And so in some ways, having that team is helpful because some of us are a little shy to be illegal or think dangerously. Of course, we're not going to do any of these things, but it's meant to stimulate our minds and our brain. So it's actually a great thing to do with at least a few more people, because if you are a little timid to get illegal and things like that, there are people that will push the edge pretty quickly. So it's a lot of fun if you do that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's good to have that icebreaker, get everyone started.
Please do such webinars. Yeah.
Great. Love the feedback. All right. Well, we are at time. So thank you, Leo, again, for taking the time to share that tool with us. I think that's really fun. And I'll certainly be using it for some things, projects for myself, and I hope everyone else will too. So if you attended today's webinar, I will also include that link in the follow-up recording that you'll automatically get. So you can use it for the next challenge that you participate in.
Excellent. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. If you'd like to follow me, I'm at Everyone Can Innovate on LinkedIn or Instagram, and I post lots of things on innovation. So if you'd like to learn more, reach out. Happy to talk to you.
Perfect. And we'll hopefully have Leo back in the near future. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And thank you, Leo.
Thank you.